In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. We're giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life because we will always be coping with something. Today, a special rebroadcast of the show Diabetes and Stress. Dr. Nicole Edwards will join us along with yoga instructor Ellie Lane. It was important when we broadcast the show before, and it's even more important now. Diabetes and stress, what the two have in common. That's coming up next on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Sawyer, an entrepreneur and caregiver. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Up to 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. This message brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of SC.
How does the stress affect those who have diabetes or pre-diabetes? And what can you do about it? Well, life coach Ellie Lane and friend to the show, Dr. Nicole Edwards, joins us to talk just about that. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I hear a little feedback from somebody, so I'm not sure where the feedback's coming from. But thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much again for having me, Tre. Love to be here as usual.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Nicole, we're going to start with you. What happens when we have stress? What does stress look like?
Okay. Well, you have to understand that everything that we do in how our bodies were made, this isn't Faith Fridays, but I know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, but our bodies were actually made to respond to stress in ways because we're supposed to. For example, everybody's heard of fight or flight, right? So if there's a bear standing in front of you and you need to be able to run, your body has to be able to kick into gear in order for your brain to be able to say, okay, there's a danger in front of me. I need to run away from this danger. I need to be able to have more blood flow go to my heart so that I can have more blood flowing. I've got to have less blood flow going to places that I don't need blood. You know, like you don't need digestion when you're trying to run away from a bear, right? You don't need your genitalia when you're trying to run away from a bear. You don't need, there's things you don't need when you're running away from a bear, but things you do need. You need your eyesight to be big so you can see, right? So you need your muscles to be, so you can run. You need your heart to be pumping so you can run. And so there's things that happen when we have stress that are supposed to happen when we have fight or flight. We have actual stress hormones that are released when we're under acute stress. And those stress hormones, things like epinephrine and dopamine, norepinephrine, these are the things that are the activators in our brain that make our brain work, right? And so that we can actively manage and get away from the stressful situation. The problem then becomes when we have too much stress for too long and it's no longer acute stress. So then what happens then if we're not getting good blood flow to our gut, right? Then your gut's not working properly. What happens if you're having too much blood flow all the time to your heart? Well, your vessels are going to constrict and you're going to have your heart's going to have to work harder to get that blood out. So you're going to have higher blood pressure. You're going to have part of the other thing that happens when we have stress is that glucose, since we're talking about diabetes, we get more glucose actually that comes because our body's glucose is like a fuel, right? And so we need more glucose. Problem when you have too much glucose for too long is that it increases your blood sugars too much. We don't want those blood sugars too high for too long because when that happens, then it can make somebody that doesn't have diabetes, it can make their blood sugars worse so that they can then get diabetes. And it can make somebody with diabetes, it can make their blood sugars worse as well.
Wow.
So, in general, acute stress, our bodies were made to deal with it. Prolonged stress, we don't need to have too much prolonged stress because you can have a whole lot of problems, weight gain, obesity, problems with your immune system being suppressed, problems with your stomach, problems with your skin, problems with your vision, problems with sleeping, fertility. All of these things are from too much stress and too much stress hormone being released in our body. People are trying to lose weight. you feel like, why can't I lose this belly fat? Well, the stress hormone cortisol actually causes more belly fat, right?
Wow.
And so then you're having problems with weight loss. And so in general, when you have too much stress, it is a detriment to your overall health and wellness.
Wow. Wow. That's a whole mouthful there. Look, I'm stressed out listening to her.
But it's just acute stress. We're going to find ways to bring it down.
Right. Listen, and I just want to clarify. She's not saying it's acute. It's cute stress. She's not saying it's acute. She's saying it's acute, just for anybody, just, because stress is not cute. Because as you said, there is so much that happens. And Ellie, I saw you over there, just shaking your head that,
Absolutely.
that, and people, we just think, oh, I'm stressed out, but we don't think about how it really affects every part of our body and how it's so detrimental, whether if you have good health or if you have some health challenges, right, Ellie?
And to Dr. Nicole's point, when we are stressed out, we get this physiological response from our body, but then it also manifests in other ways, like our behaviors. So if we're stressed out, how do we cope with this? Are we turning towards that bag of potato chips in the cupboard? Are we turning towards our bed where we want to lay down all day? Or are we finding healthier ways to cope with that stress? So it's both a body and behavior type of response.
Right. Like this, the graphic right here says, are you stressed? Are you having headaches, muscle pain, tension, just feel illness or fatigue, sleeping, as you said, Ellie, unmotivated, irritable, depressed, restless, anxious? All of these things may mean that you are just, because so many times I think when we have these kind of symptoms, we're thinking something is physically wrong with us. But this is not necessarily physical. This is something we can really control.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the things that we're stressed about in a modern world are a lot different from fighting off that jaguar of the past, right? So our ancestors really were using that fight or flight response to stay alive. And we don't need that same response anymore. If we're worried about financial situations or stress from work, it's a lot different. It's a mental shift. Absolutely.
Yeah, Superior Edwards says great information, Dr. Nicole. Thank you, Superior. Also, Michelle Harris says emotional problems can also come from stress. Then that can cause relationship problems too. Exactly. And that's what we were talking about, because you're stressed now. Everybody around you stressed because you're stressing them out. Nancy Richburg says, yes, Michelle, then it becomes a vicious cycle. Yeah. Edith Berry, thank you so much for watching. She says, hello. She says, as a diabetic and no weight problems, she says she tries to be very proactive to control her A1C. I think that's the other thing, is to know what not only your triggers are, but what you have to do for yourself, because it's different for everybody. Right, Nicole?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so having a good relationship, of course, with your doctor and making a good team effort. You need to have a mental health provider. You need to have a physical health provider. You need to have a spiritual health provider or someone who you're dealing with. But it's a team effort. And so knowing how do we know our triggers, and then how do we deal with those triggers? How do we deal with all that's coming at us, and how do we change our mindset sometimes because we can't stop the stress from coming, but we can change how we address and how we deal with the stress.
Exactly. In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and we're here with our friend to the show, Dr. Nicole Edwards, and also Ellie Lane, who is a life coach. So what happens, ladies, when it comes to people with diabetes? How do people with diabetes, how is that affected? How does stress affect them specifically? And is it the same for someone with pre-diabetes? Nicole, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, so it's the same technically for everyone, right? Diabetic, pre-diabetic, or full-blown or out of control diabetic. The problem then becomes, though, what kind of reserve do you have, right? So if you are like the last person who just put it up, no weight problems, A1C is controlled, great. You might get some stress, maybe even some chronic stress, and it might not knock you down too hard. But you take somebody who's already an uncontrolled diabetic and you give them more stress and more chronic stress, because not only does it increase your glucose levels, but it also inhibits your insulin. And so your insulin then is not working as well. And so even that exogenous, which means the doctor gives it to you, even that outside insulin, it's not working as well because of all the extra stress. And so it does affect us all the same way, but somebody who already has diabetes or poorly controlled diabetes, it makes it even worse, more detrimental.
Yeah. Ellie, I know blood glucose levels goes up when a diabetic is stressed. And then that, again, as we said, that affects your emotions, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you start to feel some of these secondary side effects of that physiological response to your stress. A lot of people also tend, especially my classes, from what I've heard, they have anxiety around their day-to-day. That can be very stressful. It's that chronic stress that Dr. Nicole was talking about. And when we have these feelings of anxiety on a constant level day-to-day, then we're heightened. All of our senses are heightened. And like she mentioned, our blood glucose goes up to prepare ourselves for these situations. But again, there may not be anything really needing that response from us. So it can be tricky. There's a lot of things that go on with this stress that can shift our attitude and get us in a negative spiral of thought. And that alone can, again, trigger some of those other unhealthy behaviors that I mentioned earlier.
Right. So what do we do? I mean, Nicole said something that's so important. We cannot control what happens to us. I mean, life is going to happen. We didn't know the pandemic was going to happen. We didn't know we're going to be in the midst of heightened race relations. And as I said at the top of the show, it's really the twindemic, So we're here and we got life, you know what I mean? We're here, we're living life, and we got kids that get on our nerves, and family members and husbands and wives and jobs and all of that. So what do we do? What can a person do? Because you can't check out, so you as Nicole said, I love that you say, but you can control how you react to it.
I love that. And I think one of the most fundamental things that we can come back to always, no matter where we are, is our breath. And that's something that I teach in our classes a lot. The science behind this, we have two main channels in our nervous system, and that's the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for that fight or flight that we talked about earlier. And then we have the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's our rest and digest. When you take a deep breath, you are literally signaling to your body, okay, it's time to calm down. I know I'm stressed out. My blood can flow a little bit more slowly. My heart rate decreases, and I'm able to focus in more on this present moment. So that's one of the things I always recommend. We can always take a deep breath no matter where we are. And in fact, why don't we do that all together?
Right. I would love to do that.
The biggest breath you've taken all day, let it come in through the nose and then sigh out loud through the mouth.
Okay, in through the nose and out. Okay, everybody.
So
we're going to breathe. We're going to breathe right now.
Whatever that looks like for you. Biggest breath in. And then.
And you've got to push it out. And then, so should your whole body drop when you?
Absolutely. So when you take an inhale in, you can think about the crown of your head growing taller, your heart lifting up towards the sky. And as you exhale, we let that expansion come back in. Feel the ribs come back to center.
And now, how many times should you do that, Ellie?
However many you need to reshift your focus, and it looks different for everyone. So depending on, how your day is going, take a couple deep breaths, recenter, and just know that it really will be okay. That's a great way to refocus.
Yeah. And you said that actually triggers something in you.
Absolutely. So that's signaling your body when you slow your breath down. It knows, okay, I'm going to calm down. I know that this is not a stressful situation. So by doing these actions, by stretching, by deep breathing, and some of the things that we'll talk about later, your body is able to accept that moment and know that you are okay, that it's calm now.
Right. All right. So we should take a deep breath several times during the day, as you say. Now, should we do this even if we don't see a stressful situation? Because you're thinking, okay, so if we are in a stressful situation or we see a stressful situation, person, place, or thing coming up, we go somewhere hide and go breathe. But is that something we should just go ahead and do?
Well, I think it's a wonderful reset, and it's just a great way. If you've got any of that chronic tension lingering, maybe you don't even realize that you're feeling stressed out. And that's something that meditation and yoga and deep breathing can really allow you the opportunity to pause and reflect and say, you know what? I didn't even know that my heart rate was going through the roof, and I was worried about this thing I have in the afternoon. So
Right.
absolutely, as often as you can, take a deep breath. I'm seeing these comments.
Right. Everybody's breathing. Everybody's
There you
breathing
go.
out here. Take a deep breath. And that's something, you're right. I mean, that's such a small thing, but such a big thing.
I think too, Tre and Ellie, I think sometimes people don't realize that they're as stressed as they are, but you have to learn how to recognize your body. I know when I'm stressed, I carry it in my shoulders.
Right.
And so I'll be like this, I'll be tight and stressed. And so I'm finding like, okay, I tell people, if you're having a lot of neck pain, a lot of, stress and achingness in your neck and your shoulders, and maybe headaches in the back of your head, then that could be signs that you're carrying too much in what I call life's backpack. So life's backpack, you're putting all these weights and all these things and you're carrying too much. You've got to unload that backpack and let it go and woosah. Take the stress off and let woosah.
Yeah. Well, but Nicole, you make such a great point, because it may not be you know what I'm saying? But it's that nagging thing in your back. Look, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm a big Vicks Vapor Rub person. I sniff it, I slather it, I put it on my muscles, because the menthol. And earlier I was like rubbing, right back here, and just and because just everyday bills, kids, stuff like that just gets to you. And so I think it's good to know, as you said, Nicole, and you said too, Ellie, that you just have to do it periodically throughout the day, just to release the tensions that just normally come with everyday life.
Absolutely. And I see a lot of my classes participants say that this is where they carry it too, Dr. Nicole. And we know that we tend to hunker down, and this is where it manifests in these areas. So if y'all would like me to share some stretches.
Yes. Would you please? Yes. Help us with our neck and back.
Get it all worked out.
Yes.
So first, as a disclaimer, if you hear any popping or cracking as we go through these, that's calcium deposits breaking down. Don't fear it. That's okay. That's normal. So if you hear some popping and cracking, that's good. You're getting into those areas.
Right.
But start off, and if we just all want to do this together, you can sit up nice and tall in your seat and your chin to your
chest. Come on, everybody. We just breathe. We just breathe. Now we're going to stretch.
So if you drop your chin to your chest, you'll immediately start to feel a nice stretch in the back of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do these stretches, come back to those deep breaths that we talked about earlier. So whatever a deep breath looks like for you, and it'll be different for everyone. And then if we lift our head back to center and gently drop left ear over left shoulder, we'll start to feel this stretch right.
I did the same thing, Nicole. I did the other left.
No, your other left.
Yeah, my other left. Come on, y'all. Get it together.
And then you can tilt your chin towards your armpit. Maybe don't give it a little sniff, depending on what time of day it is. And then make that diagonal line tilt it up towards the sky. So you can do this as many times as feels good. You're just working those tense areas in the back and front edges of the neck. And then we'll come back to center and do the other side. So right ear over right shoulder. Pause, breathe into the space. You feel the sensation, the deep stretch, and then give that little armpit a sniff, chin to armpit, and then chin diagonal line to the sky. So notice these areas. Really take your time, move intentionally, move slowly, and start to learn where you hold your stress. That's what we talked about, right? We're trying to become more aware of where these areas are that are so tight for us. And then back to center and pretend like your nose is a little paintbrush and start creating small circles in the air. You can gradually make those a little bit bigger. You can drop the chin to the chest. Take your time again here. So really allowing yourself a moment to notice how this feels.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
There you go. And I like to hear it.
Are you popping? Oh, Nancy Richburg says There goes that popping. Anybody popping popcorn in the house?
And then we'll gently come back to center, and just a couple more things I want to show you. We talk, we make fun of ourselves and we hunch up, but that's a great way to squeeze that tension and then release it. And that's something called passive muscle relaxation. So by tensing those muscles as tight as you can and then allowing those to soften, that can really help you identify those areas that are extra tight. You can roll the shoulders. And then another thing that I really like to share with everyone is just to bring the fingertips on top of the shoulders and then work on making circles, bringing the elbows in, opening out wide, and then touch them back together on the inhale. So we inhale to lift and exhale to circle out. So this is really getting our shoulders, our neck area, and the front body. And then I want to show y'all two more, and bear with me.
That's good.
Weird.
Edith Berry says this feels great. And this is stuff, Ellie, that you can do anywhere, but if you're in any level, I mean, you're not doing any strenuous stuff. You're just doing some stuff that everyone can do.
Absolutely. And that's the great benefit of yoga. You can always tailor this to your own abilities. And that's what I love so much about it. These last two are kind of funky. Y'all bear with me, but we'll take our pointer finger knuckles right underneath the jawline, under the earlobe, start making big circles all the way down to the chin. And you can close your eyes and really get into the moment. Once you get down to the chin, big circles along the jawline, all the way back up. I'm losing my earbuds. And then do that one more time and see this next round if you can soften the muscles of the face, the space between the brow, especially the jaw area. And then if that felt really good and your hands are clean, you don't mind touching your face, you can always massage any other area that needs some love and attention. I always like to get right here on the cheeks. This is not an area where I'm normally thinking about. And then along the forehead as well. So maybe the temples and the space between the eyebrow.
Right. This is good too, because I have sinus congestion. So this is, really feel
perfect for that. And it really allows you to feel your shape as well. So a lot of the times we can be really stressed about our weight, how we look, our appearance. And this is one thing that we can do to really appreciate our bodies and say, you know what, this, I know my shape. I recognize that. I'm proud of this body that I'm in. And the last one I'll share with y'all, and this is the weird one, so bear with me, but tapping yourself all over the body can be a really great way to recenter. So you can lightly tap your face, the top of your head. I think the back of the head near the neck feels so good for me. But again, out what feels really good for you, all the way down the shoulders, the chest, and you can tap all the way down to your toes. So this is something that once you're done, we'll do it for a couple more seconds because I really want y'all to feel the feeling afterwards when you're done. So let's do it for a couple more seconds.
I love tapping. I tap all the time.
It's so great, isn't it? I love it.
And it's really great when you do it with affirmations too. You do your tapping with affirmations.
Dr. Nicole, what's your favorite affirmation while we're on that? What do you like?
I am whole, I am healthy, I am happy.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, y'all, we've got to, come on. I want everybody to put in the chat your affirmation. Renee says, thanks for these stretches. Thank you, Renee, for stretching with us. Tap, tap, tap. Everybody put their affirmation.
And then when you're done, when you're ready, pause, let the hands rest, and just notice how you feel. And I would love for y'all to put in the chat box some of the sensations. Do you feel more energized? Do you feel lighter? Have all your worries melted away? So it's kind of this fun thing that you can do to always come back and refocus.
Wow. This is great. Ellie Lane is a life coach, and Dr. Nicole Edwards is a general practitioner here in Columbia, South Carolina. We're talking about stress and diabetes on today's Coping with COVID. In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. I'm Tre Tailor, and we come back. We're going to talk more about stress and diabetes, some other things that you can do to help you manage your stress. Don't forget, again to post in the chat your affirmations and how you felt after you did these simple exercises. Michelle Harris said to try to share this with your coworkers, and they will thank you. Y'all, everybody, just have a tap time. You say, okay, everybody, it's time to tap. Tap time at the job. And listen, we're joking, but you know what? This is something you do need to do as, people are coming back to work. In South Carolina, people are still stressed out. People are still in cubicles and are mask stuff, but you need to take this time because that is a source of stress also. So we're coming right back, y'all. Coping with COVID is brought to you by In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. We'll be right back with more with Dr. Nicole and Ellie Lane.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821. I
want to thank everybody for watching and remind you to continue to post and share this information because this is such a great show, whether you have diabetes, pre-diabetes or not. Everybody in the whole wide world is going through some level of stress because of COVID and race relations in our country. Today, we've been talking to Dr. Nicole Edwards. She's a board certified family physician based in Columbia, South Carolina. And her practice, Abundant Life, also helps veterans navigate through the system. Ellie Lane is a life coach, and she joins us also. And they've been sharing with us such great resources. Ellie, if you just joined us, just took us through some great stretching with our head and our necks and our arms that we can do right there, wherever you are, whether you're riding the bus, whether you're in your car. I guess you don't need to do it while you're driving. While you're in the car, we're not driving, and you're the passenger seat in the back seat somewhere. Or if you pull over on the side of the road and you feel like you just need to do it, do that. Also, if you're at your desk, or just at home. And you know what, Ellie, I'm just thinking, these are things I'm going to incorporate. I'm going to start incorporating in my everyday, because if you're like me, you're just going all day. And you don't take a minute for yourself to even do those little things. And, I remember my doctor said, you should take at least 30 minutes, go outside, sit on the porch. Girl, I don't do that. But you know what I will do? I'll do this because I'm sitting here. I'm in my office. I can do those little things, So,
absolutely. And there's some great resources too if you're more interested in chair yoga, especially for office. YouTube is a great resource. Yoga with Adrienne, I highly recommend. She is a wonderful instructor. She's certified. So that would be a great opportunity as well if you are working from home or sitting often.
Right. And then you have yoga for everybody every Wednesday.
Yeah, so this is a really fun class. It's only 30 minutes out of your week, and it's a great way to stay consistent with stretching and getting a nice yoga practice in. And I offer modifications for all levels. So that's why it's called Everybody. Anybody can join, and we primarily do chair yoga.
Okay, great. Chair yoga. That's awesome. I want to shout out a couple of people because we did ask people to tell us what their affirmations are. I want to share the affirmations because we want to get the positive energy in the atmosphere, because your affirmation may be good for somebody else. And then Ellie wanted to know how you feel. So Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says her affirmation is love, joy, peace, and happiness. Michelle Harris says every day in every way, my life is getting better and better. I love that. Michelle. Also, be fearless. Nancy Richburg says that. Sarah Netherton says, I'm in charge of how I feel today and I choose happiness. I love that, Sarah, because again, look, I was just telling the 5 and the 2-year-old. I told that 2-year-old because her brother was getting on her nerve. I said, don't let anybody take your power. I said, just he's looking at you. So what? You know how kids say, I was just looking at me. Stop. Just stop. So I love that, because whether we're 2 or 52, Sarah, we need to know. I am in charge. I'm not going to let anybody take my power. Edith Berry says her face is stimulated. Tap, tap, tap is where it's at. Thank you, Edith. Mitchell Peace Joyce Jen said this is helping improving her coping skills.
Right.
Also, I'm valuable, I'm complete, chosen, forgiven, and victorious in Jesus. I love that, Renee. Thank you so much. Edith Berry says her affirmation is joy, peace, love, and respect to my spiritual and physical being. I love that because she's saying, I respect my physical and my spiritual, because Nicole, I've heard you say so many times, we're all of that.
Absolutely.
Yep. One body, but with multiple parts, mind, body, spirit.
Yeah. And when we've got to focus on all of that in order to be healthy and whole. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says more people need to tap into the world. This would help to improve communication and race relations. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So it's the yoga piece, obviously, that we can do, exercise. What are some other things, Nicole, that people can do, or Ellie, if you want to chime in, to help treat the stress in their lives?
Well, one of the main things that I focus with my patients and my clients is decreasing the amount of inflammation in your life, because cortisol and stress causes inflammation. And so what we don't want to do is add extra inflammation to an already inflammatory process. So what can you do? You can have an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay. And so that means decreasing things that cause inflammation, things like gluten, things like, you're going to hate me for this, things like sugar, things like even sometimes dairy can cause more inflammation, and it just causes you to kind of be more sluggish. Wow. Things that are processed, that causes inflammation. So by sticking to more of the natural things, more of the fruits and the vegetables, things grown from the ground, I'm not saying you have to stop eating meat, but the certain types of meat and the certain types of doing more organic, that decreases some of the inflammation. Drinking water, I've got my gallon here. Right. Yeah, but drinking your water helps to decrease your inflammation and helps things to be flowing. Doing exercise gets the blood flowing and gets those things moving. So these are things. Also taking vitamins, taking supplements. There are certain supplements that can help, things like, your L-theanines and your GABAs and your taurines. And there are different types of supplements that you can take that can really help to think about stress and these things. It blocks things. It makes your blood thick. It makes your mental clarity is off. It makes just you kind of foggy. And so by increasing things flowing with water and diet, exercise, it kind of moves things along and helps with the stress in general.
Yeah. Ellie, anything you want to chime in on?
Yeah, I would just like to emphasize the importance of physical activity, especially in relation to stress and diabetes, because when we're active, our bodies are able to use insulin more efficiently and effectively, and we're also burning up some of that extra sugar that's laying around in our blood. So it's a great way to also shift your perspective. If you are anxious or worried about something and you go out for a walk, I can promise you by the end of your walk, seeing the beautiful sights around you, listening to nature, that will help you in your mental perspective. And then also, I think it's really important to just make a note that some of those behaviors we mentioned earlier, so they're up on the screen right now. So addictive things like drinking, smoking, those are unhealthy ways of coping with our stress. So if we can turn it around at any point, and I see meditation on the list as well, and that's something else I'd like to talk about for a moment. But
sure.
Is kind of this buzzword in our society, but it's been around for a very long time as part of the Hindu culture. And it's a great way for us to become more aware of our own thoughts and how we perceive the world around us. So basically, meditation doesn't have to be this scary thing. It's sitting in silence and acknowledging what comes up for you. So for example, if you were to meditate for about 5 minutes, and during that 5 minutes, you are thinking about the laundry you've got, the cooking that you need to do later, all your other responsibilities for the day, that's an opportunity for you to learn, you know what, I'm having some trouble sitting still with myself and relaxing. We may be going through our day with blinders on, not even recognizing that all of these things are coming up constantly in our thoughts. And the more we can address that and acknowledge those thoughts, the easier it is for us to let them go. So just saying, I acknowledge that I'm worrying about these responsibilities later, but I'm going to choose to be in this moment. I'm going to choose to let that go.
Yeah, that's Ellie Lane. She is a life coach, and she's been talking to us along with Dr. Nicole Edwards about stress and diabetes. She just put us through an amazing kind of a movement exercise. And so if you get a chance, please watch the replay. But we are also talking about some of the things on the list right here. Walk, laugh, dance, relax, as Ellie just said, meditate, pray, talk to someone about your stress, join a support group, spend time with people you enjoy, do something you love to do, work on one thing at a time. That was a big thing because we're all out here doing 10 things at a time. And, your head, your mind is racing. And again, I think these are things that we don't think that cause stress in our lives because they're just something we do every day.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's something that we've just gotten used to.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned do things that you love to do.
Right.
And if you don't know what you love to do, try new things and figure out what's fun for you. Find movement that feels good. You don't have to attend a yoga class if that's not your thing. Go for a walk. Go play a game of basketball. Find something that you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
And you'll come to that more often as a way of healthy coping.
And you know what? That's giving yourself something. That's a gift to yourself.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah, it is. It's a gift to yourself. I'm going to tell you, and Nicole doesn't know that I'm going to say this. Last week, she invited me out to listen to music. I love live music, but since I've had these children, I've just not given myself that. Girl, I can't go nowhere with 2 and a 5-year-old, but I went out last Friday night, I think it was. I enjoyed the music so much, sitting outside, and the kids loved it. And we got up and we danced, and that was just, I can't tell y'all how that shifted my energy. Just that hour or whatever, sitting outside. I mean, so we just have to. And I think as women, we just don't give ourselves the grace. We don't give ourselves the time because we're doing life. We're doing the kids and we're doing our parents and we're doing work and the laundry, as you said, Ellie. And we have just got to, just treat yourself.
Right. I was just getting ready to say self-care is not selfish. Right. You have to remember that. And actually, it's an old adage, and I hate cliches, but you really can't pour from an empty cup. You're and so if you have nothing left to give, then how are you going to give to everybody else? You've got to get refilled. So whether that means, you're going to take a walk or going to listen to some music or going to just sit in your car for a minute, sometimes don't just sit in that toxic situation. Go sit in your car. I get away from my kids. I go sit in the garage in my car. My husband's like, why are you in the garage? Because it's quiet. It's quiet. It's quiet. The kids aren't running around.
Don't fall asleep like me. I sit in my car, I fall asleep, and I wake up and it's tomorrow.
But you got to do what's best for you. And by whatever that means. And it doesn't have to cost money. You don't have to go. I mean, getting a massage is nice. Getting your hair done is nice. But sometimes it's just a matter of go take a nap. Just find something that works for you. Take a walk. People used to see me work when I used to have a practice, and that could be it was very stressful. They would see me sometimes just in the middle of the day taking a walk. I just have to let me go take a lap because I have to do that in order to woosah sometimes. And you got to, woosah.
Yeah.
I do have a supplement called that too, Tre, called it's just for that.
I ask you about some of your supplements because I know that when we talk about medication and, listen, if you need the medication, take the medication. But
absolutely.
I think there are so many other things you can do also. And, we've talked about the yoga and as Ellie said, she's got this great yoga class that happens on Wednesday. And is this virtual, Ellie?
It is. And it's every Wednesday, 12 to 12:30.
All right, every Wednesday, 12 to 12:30. And then, of course, there is medication. We talked about shifting your mindset. We talked about this whole list of things that we can do to just give yourself, again, 15-minute, 30-minute break. But let's talk a little bit as we wrap up, Nicole, about supplements. What other types of supplements, oils, baths, and I've talked about this on the show, too, that bathing those babies, I have rediscovered a bath. Not that I wasn't washing up, I was taking showers. To put on, the aromatherapy, and I love the aromatherapy. So I definitely believe in oils. I'll turn on that diffuser with some lemongrass or something, or some frankincense or lavender, and just sit in that tub. Good God Almighty, that is heaven. Well, what else, Nicole? Get out of my bathroom. Go ahead. What else, Nicole? Nicole must not be able to hear us. Can you hear us, Nicole?
I can now. I hit something on my computer and I was like, what happened? I got it now.
Yeah, so tell us about some supplements that are good.
So there are different types of supplements that you can take. I talked about some of them before. Some of the ones that help with melatonin is a great one to help. Melatonin helps with the serotonin levels in our body. Serotonin is another one, or 5-HTP that people talk about. That helps with your serotonin levels, which kind of helps to calm you down. GABA is one that people talk about, GABA. It's got a long name. We're just going to call it GABA for short. You've heard of things like St. John's wort. You've heard of things like magnesium. Magnesium, there's lots of, people don't know this, there are multiple types of magnesium. There's magnesium threonate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium oxalate. There's all kinds of different ones, but magnesium glycinate is great for relaxation and for calming effects. There's even some supplements out there called Calm, and that has magnesium glycinate in it, right? But magnesium is great for sleeping and also great for being calmed down. There's all kinds of different ones, different types of essential oils, Tre, that you were talking about. Things like the peppermints and the mints and the lavenders. If you don't have breast cancer, if you have any breast cancer history, be careful with lavender.
Really?
But outside,
wow.
yes, breast cancer history, be careful with lavender. But outside of that, put in some lavender either in your sheets or in your water when you take a bath. That has a calming effect. Lemongrass is another one, has a great calming effect. Me too. Eucalyptus is also another great one for calming. You can do that, any time of day. Put it in a diffuser. Even if you're congested, but even if you're not, it smells great and it's good to just bring that calming effect. You can find topical creams. I do have some in my Abundantly Natural line that help with just kind of, like you said, you smell your, whatever that was you were saying you smell earlier, you can find stuff that you can smell and it just helps with
you talking about my Vicks Vapor Rub?
Your Vicks Vapor Rub. It's the menthol in it. It's the menthol.
Yes.
So the eucalyptus, the menthol, the peppermints or the spearmints, the lemons, those are all great things that you can smell that have a calming effect. And man, you might already be wound up when you start smelling that, and you all of a sudden it just kind of like melts you and relaxes you. Like I said, Abundantly Natural is my supplement line, and I do have different ones. I've got one called Woosaw. I've got one that's called Tranquility. I've got one that's called Stress and Sleep Support. And so these are the ones that just have all those things in it: the GABA, the melatonins, the magnesiums, and it just helps to give that calming effect. Of course, always check with your doctor before you do any type of supplements, but they are available, and a lot of times they are pretty safe. Yes.
Yeah, Betty Fletcher says, be careful using essential oils around your pets.
Around your pets and around your babies, too.
And around your babies. She said fur babies, but your real babies, too. Okay, Thank you, Betty. Yeah, so Ellie, you've got a couple of things going on. Tell us about this.
So Clemson Extension has a couple programs related to diabetes, and this No Diabetes by Heart is a webinar created by the American Diabetes Association and the American Heart Association. And it's a 1-hour webinar that helps educate people more about the connection between diabetes and heart disease. Mm-hmm. So it's very likely those two go hand in hand. So we just want to get that information out there so that South Carolinians can be as healthy as possible. And if you have diabetes, hopefully prevent future complications related to heart disease.
Okay, great. And when is it?
So there's a ton of events available. If you follow that link on the flyer, we've got a lot of classes throughout the rest of the year, and it will hopefully work for your schedule.
All right, great. And then there's something else here that the Health Extension for Diabetes, is this a similar?
It's a little bit different. So this is a program for if you've been diagnosed with diabetes. This program is 8 weeks long. And what it does is provide you with the knowledge, the skills, and the resources that you need to better manage your diabetes. So if you've ever been to the doctor and you have a lot of questions and you feel like you don't quite understand how to take care of your diabetes, we really encourage you to join this program and learn all the ins and outs and get the information that you need.
Awesome. Awesome. You see the information on the screen. And if you or someone you know has diabetes, please check out these great programs from Clemson Extension. And of course, Ellie has her yoga for everybody every Wednesday from 12 and 12:30. Take 30 minutes out of your day to de-stress. And of course, Nicole has a full line of supplements. Nicole's information is on the screen right now, so you can go to her website and get that information. If we could put Nicole's information up on the screen.
And Tre, really quick, I am going to be opening up a relaxation bar right here in Columbia.
Oh, wow. Nicole, that is great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When is that happening?
Hopefully in the next 2 months, but it's going to be right here in my office. I've redone the whole upstairs to my office, and it's going to be an entire relaxation bar. So massages, you can sit in a massage chair. You can do, it's going to be a nap bar where you can just come take a nap for 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Getting IV fluids, getting facials and foot massages and all kind of things. But it's going to be a relaxation, a wellness and relaxation center.
Oh, Nicole, that is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is so great. Congratulations.
Can I come?
Yes, please do. It's going to be called A Live. It's called A Live, and it's an arm of Abundant Life Concierge, but it's abundantly live. So A Live. And it'll be hopefully in the next 1 to 2 months.
I love that too. Betty Fletcher says, sounds wonderful. Betty, we got to get together, me, you, and Ellie and everybody. And I come to Nicole's new wellness bar. Dr. Nicole Edwards is a board certified family physician. She's based here in Columbia, South Carolina. Her practice, Abundant Life. And in addition to opening up the wellness bar in just a couple of months, also helps veterans navigate through the system. Ellie Lane is a life coach. She's working with a Clemson Extension. And of course, she's got her yoga classes and the work that she does with Clemson. And we've been talking today about stress and diabetes. Such great resources, such a great show. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a wealth of information. And I challenge you watching to continue to post and share this. And I think Michelle Harris said, share some of these techniques, simple techniques, not only put them into your daily life, because I'm going to do that, but share with some of your coworkers too, and watch how the office atmosphere changes. Dr. Nicole, Ellie, thank you guys so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. And if I could leave y'all with one final word, please have grace with yourself. We're all going through a lot of stress right now and in general, and just know that you can always come back to you. Make sure that you take care of you. Feel that power within, and know that you've always got your own back. So be easy on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing an absolutely fantastic job. And thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, you saying Nicole has a Reiki person in her office that says, be kind to yourself.
That's part of the relaxation bar too.
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. She always says that. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And that's the other thing. Look, I can start a whole new conversation about that, how we just beat ourselves up. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
All righty.
Hi, I'm Judy Gatson. As a news anchor, wife, and mom, I know how important it is to take care of our health. Part of taking care of our health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is a serious health condition and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. It's estimated that more than 1.3 million South Carolinians have it, and up to 90% have no idea. Take a moment to visit inittogethersc.org to take an online test to find out your risk of prediabetes and how to join a diabetes prevention program that takes the guesswork out of losing weight, eating better, and being more active. You can learn new ways to stay healthy and sustain those changes over time. When you join, you'll even get support from a trained lifestyle coach to help you set and achieve realistic goals. Go to inittogethersc.org, brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Thank you so much for joining us on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. As always, we leave you with a devotional. I'm reading today from Conversations with God. This is from Cheryl Mims Williams. She's with Agape Christian Counseling and Training Programs in Columbia, South Carolina. This is such a great devotional, and it shares some of the writings from her journal, prayers and thoughts and things that we can say for God and to God for us. This one says, Father, you're more than enough. I'm nothing without you. I can do nothing without you. Let my hand be in your hands. I pray for clarity and confirmation on what you will have me to do. Let your anointing fall fresh upon me this day. What a great affirmation to use throughout the day, just to keep your mind focused. And as they say in the old church, stayed on God. This is your devotional today. It's from Cheryl Mims Williams, Conversations with God. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on Coping. We're giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we will always be coping with something, but we don't have to do it alone. We're here for you. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you soon.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you.